Hey, William Gilmore here for the ScreenwritersJourney.com. It is day 356 of the journey. And finally, I got around to a little screenwriting today. Wasn't a lot, but it was something. One of the things that I've been doing over the last couple of days, too, that I didn't mention in my last post was that I've been updating my personal website, williamgilmore.tv, which is my portfolio site where I keep all the demos of the different projects that I've worked on to use to try and get jobs. And that was severely out of date. So in addition to all the other stuff that I've been doing, I had to update that site. And that took a little bit of work, a little bit of time. And one of the things that I noticed when I was doing that update is that I have a blog on that site. And it's a blog that I started working on when I first built the site. And I did two. Let's say what it was. It was two blogs. And then I was living in New York at the time, and I had to move, and the blog sort of went away. I wasn't working on that as I was trying to do other things. And I just forgot about it. And between Hike Los Angeles and ScreenwritersJourney.com and doing all that writing, I just didn't work on a blog for that personal site. And I decided, well, maybe I should update the blog as well, now that I've updated everything else on that site. And so I took all my adventures from the summer, between working on Agnes and Estelle as a cameraman, doing the Georgia Mountain Visitor, and Revitalash, and all those things. And I ended up writing 5 additional blogs. And it's not screenwriting, but it was a fair amount of writing to do 5 blogs, and those are all up on that site now. And so that site is completely up to date. Today I spent working on ScreenwritersJourney.com website, updating that, archiving the July news articles, putting up some new news articles for August, even though there's only about 10 days left in the month. Keep it going. Updated the box office results and July spec sales. All those things. So all my sites are completely up to date now with new blogs and everything. So at the moment, I'm clear to go on all those things. So finally, we got around to screenwriting. And I sat down, pulled out The Devil's Tramping Ground tonight, and started going through it. And it felt pretty good. It was around 60 pages that I've worked on and doing some major restructuring. If you don't remember, that script was originally written out of sequence in a sort of nonlinear format, and about halfway through, around page 60, the story sort of straightens out and becomes linear format as our lead character, Doug, sort of accepts his fate, if you will, and gains a little clarity in his life. And so what was sort of symbolic of the messed up, the confusion in his mind has now straightened out, so the story straightened out. It was kind of a cool idea, cool concept. I think it confused a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons I was reworking this piece, was to try and straighten that story out and make it more engaging to readers. Instead of having them puzzle to figure out what was going on, this is much more straightforward. And so far, I like how it's been going with the readings we've been doing at Rewrites Writers Group. And so when I was looking at it today, I went back to the old version, and I said, well, I think I can probably just lift this last 30 or 40 pages and just tack it on the end, and it should be a fairly linear progression all the way through now. And it was. There are some issues with that last half that need to be worked out. There's probably going to be some restructuring, a fair amount of rewriting to make things match up with what's been set up in the new first 2/3 of the screenplay. By adding those pages on, it came in at 114 pages. And so then I sat down and I wrote down all the scenes and gave a progression, sort of an outline. And was looking at it, and I was like, I don't know if this structure really works. It feels a little slow getting to the spooky stuff, but it is a psychological horror. So I'm not too terribly concerned about that, and yet at the same time, marketing will probably hit it as a big horror film, and if people are going and expecting a horror, maybe that psychological stuff that gets set up in the first half, takes too much time. So I thought if I could get to the tramping ground with all the scary stuff starts happening sooner, maybe that would be better. So I actually took those scenes and copied the script into another version and did a restructuring of that first 30 pages or so, and rearranged scenes. And in some ways, it kind of works. It caused me some problems as I went along. There were some structure problems, but I was like, yeah, I can work on that. I can rewrite that. But will the story work in this fashion? And one of the things I wanted to do was bring up, there's a party scene where our lead character, after he's found out he's probably not going to graduate, he's going to lose a scholarship, and he goes to a party and just gets wasted because he sort of throws his hands up and gives up. And while he's there, he gets involved in a menage a trois. It's an implied rape of a young woman. And I thought if we got to that catalyst a little sooner, that would set up everything to come after. And that is sort of the underpinning of the psychological drama of the screenplay. And it sort of works. I mean, it gets things happening a little faster. But the problem that I ran into, and this goes back to come-ups, where I was having so many problems with people not liking Shep. They found me kind of an asshole. Still don't understand that. But when I look at that, by putting that possible rape scene up right near the beginning, we immediately don't like Doug. We know he's an ass from the beginning, and we don't really see a change in him over the course of the piece because he's already a bad dude who just makes things worse. So in the version that I have been working on, we see him sort of, big man on campus, kind of the cool guy that everybody likes, and then we see him sort of degenerate as things start to go bad for him. He finds out that, his partying is causing problems in his schoolwork. He finds out he may not graduate. If he can't pass this one class, he will lose his scholarship. Things start going bad for him, so we have a little sympathy for him, and so that when this party scene happens with the young woman, it's not an excuse for what happens, but we kind of see that he's messed up, and there's a reason for what happens, maybe. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would argue with me on that point, but that's sort of the progression of the story, and that works a lot better than this new version where you move that potential rape up to the beginning, where it automatically puts a bad taste in our mouth with Doug. So after spending a fair amount of time working it out, I scrapped that and went back to the version I had been working on, and went through that and just went through what was supposed to be like the first 30 pages. What I did is I took Save the Cat beat sheet, and I said, well, okay, and I haven't really been following this as I wrote it. I was just kind of working it out in my head on how things would land. And I said, well, let's just compare that to the Save the Cat beat sheet and see how close that is. And there's some people out there who hate Save the Cat and think that's stifles creativity and whatnot. That's another argument for another blog. But what I found is that a lot of my elements landed pretty closely to Blake Snyder's Save the Cat beats. Got a great opening image with the mantle clock and the guys going through their various shenanigans in the cold open, where we see horrible things happening to them that we're not quite sure why, and then we flash back 1 week earlier and start telling the story. So nice little setup there. The scene with Dr. Mott's class where they're talking about God and religion and existence of the devil, things like that. There's all kinds of themes stated in there. You can pick any one of those to be themes, and those landed right about where the theme should land, according to Blake Snyder. And the catalyst, Blake says it should happen on page 12. Mine actually happened on page 9, so it was a little sooner. So I think that's a good thing, that it gets things rolling a little quicker. The break into Act 2, it was actually on page 25. It's now at the top of page 26 because I added some stuff, so I pushed it a little bit, but it's right at the top of page 26, so it's pretty much on the nose where it should be. And the B story and all the action with the fun and games is supposed to start on page 30. Starts exactly on page 30. So there's a lot of really good things that lined up that way. Where things started to run into problems with the Save the Cat format, it was around the midpoint, which is page 55. And I think that's okay because the story is a little bit different as we're getting into their minds of the college kids and what's going on with them. So I'm not sure that that Save the Cat format necessarily works for the entire piece, which is when you have to know when to let that format go and do your own thing, and when you want to adhere to it. I think for the opening section and getting the audience engaged and getting them hooked into the story, I think it works well, and then we can sort of go off the path a bit and do something that's different, unique, and creative. So it's sort of incorporating Save the Cat and at the same time flaunting the rules when it wants to. So it reads pretty well for those first 60 pages. I did go through and did some cleaning up and doctoring some dialogue here and there, and I ended up with 116 pages altogether. So it was about probably 2 to 3 pages that I actually new stuff that I wrote and things that I took out, brought it back down to an additional 2 pages. So there's probably about 3 pages of new material in there. So 3 pages. I only have 27 more to go to make my monthly quota. But it all reads fairly well. I'm fairly satisfied with that. That last part, the last 40 pages or so, is going to need a fair amount of work. So that's what we'll be working on over the next couple of days and seeing what we can do with that. I think overall, I'd like to get the script down to 105. I think would be a good length for this. It's at 116 right now, and I know there's stuff that can come out in this later part. Trim it down, tighten things up. So if I can get down to around 105, we should be in pretty good shape. So I'm feeling good. Feeling good that I finally got back to the writing and actually did some stuff. I spent several hours going over that and doing that whole restructuring thing and figuring it all out. So hopefully we're back on track and things will be progressing forward from here. I've got till the 31st to knock the script out and get it complete, and hopefully maybe even get a few pages on another one going. So I've got the time. Everything's up to date. So all that antsiness that I was feeling here recently, it's like a weight has been lifted. I've got everything up to date, and everything is back on track, sort of. Just a lot of work over the next couple of days. Anyway, that's all I got for right now. I am William Gilmore for the ScreenwritersJourney.com here on day 356. So until next time, please keep writing. Man, nailed that. Haven't done that in a while.